gets me every time.
Hi everyone, Jamie Madison here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope everyone's doing great. So to start, let's make a card with the Simon Says Stamp June kit. To make this card, I'm going to start with the beautiful flower stamp set that came in the kit. I'm going to be using the cluster of flowers in the stamp set. I'm going to first start with my Canson XL watercolor paper and my powder tool to prep my paper for embossing. After I have that down, I'm going to stamp with the Versamark and Clear for embossing. I'm going to put that liberally on my stamp and press down on my stamping platform to get a good impression. Now I'm going to use the Recollections embossing powder in copper. I'm going to pour that all over my image and then tap off the remaining. After I have that cleaned up, I'm going to take my heat gun, which is already hot and ready. Because we're going to do some watercoloring, we don't want to warp the paper, so make sure that your heat tool is hot before you do your embossing. Okay, so now that we have our image heat embossed, I went ahead and taped down my paper to my craft mat and mixed some lily light purple color and went in with my water brush. Now how I watercolor is super easy and won't take you long. I start with my darkest part and just start blending it out. Once it's nice and blended through the flower, I go back in to give it some shadow and deeper color, but also leaving highlighting spots. I want this card to be soft, so I was trying to do the florals a nice soft purple. I didn't want to go too deep with them. So as I'm going through the flower, I'm just adding in some color to give it some definition. I move on to the next flower, so the first one has time to dry. I do the exact same thing as I did with the first one. I go in with the same color, starting darkest to lightest and blending my way out. That gives it a nice soft effect. Once all the color is laid down, I'll go back in and add some darker areas, because you can't really add more color to a wet area, it'll just blend through it. So you want that watercolor paper to dry and then add your watercolor again on top of it if you want to darken an area. This watercolor technique is super easy, especially for beginners like myself. As I'm blending through my flower, if I see an area that's too dark, I'll just add a little extra water to it and lift it off with my paintbrush. That's the good thing about watercolor, it's very forgiving. You can just take your time, and if you mess up, it's easy to correct. There's almost nothing you can do with watercolor that's a mistake. Not only is it nice and easy to do, but it's very relaxing. As I was doing this flower, I was trying to think of the color that I wanted to do the center. I wish I would have went with my first instinct and just left it white, because it left the flower looking more soft, but instead I went in with the green that I used for the leaves. I don't recommend it for a future project. As you can see where I'm going through the bottom part of the petals, I'm just adding a little bit more color and then just blending it lightly up. That's going to give it a nice highlighted area and separate the other flowers from each other. Now I'm going to start going in with a mossy green color with a little bit of a yellow undertone for the leaves. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the flowers and start in a dark area and then just kind of go lighter towards the ends. This turned out very well for the leaves. Unfortunately, I added the green to the center and wish I wouldn't have. I wish I would have left that white. I end up liking it better looking back when it was white than I did whenever I colored it green. I really couldn't decide what color I wanted the center of my flowers to be. Normally in nature it would be a yellow for a pollen, but yellow just didn't suit it very well. Even though it was a mistake, it still turned out nice in the end. As I'm putting down the color, I'm putting my paper towel over it to kind of pick up a little of that excess color, so it kind of blends it out a little bit through the flower. Once I'm finished watercoloring my flowers, I'm going to take them and go through this paper pack to try and find a good background. I was trying to find something that wouldn't overpower the flowers. I wanted them to stand out. I decided that this light pink with this gold stripe matched pretty well. I do wish I would have used a gold embossing powder instead of the copper after choosing this background, but they still go almost perfect together. After I picked my paper out, I went ahead and fussy cut it around my flower. To get in those hard spots, I just cut the leaves. I figured since I was going to tape them down, you wouldn't notice the separation anyways. So those 3 little white spots that are held in, I just went ahead and cut around. I went ahead and took my background paper and cut it to an A2 size card, and I adhered it on my Nina Solar White in 110 pound. I just used some double-sided tape to go around all the corners and then a little bit through the middle. I just lined up my background paper with my card and just pushed that in place. After that was adhered, I went ahead and took my flower image and took some double-sided foam tape, the same tape that I got from the Dollar Tree that I absolutely love, and just covered the whole back of my flower. I went ahead and fast forward past this part because it did take me a little bit of time to cut all the tiny little spots. And then I went ahead and took all the backing off of my image. After that was complete, I went ahead and adhered my flower to my background. I kind of wanted to do it a little off center, so I aimed more towards the bottom of the card. As I'm placing my card, I'm not pushing down hard yet, so I'm going to line up those leaves that I cut so they blend in nicely. Once all the leaves are in the right spot, I'm going to go ahead and push down firmly so they don't go anywhere. This is where the card could be finished if you didn't want to go any further. I just wanted to add a small little segment to the top of the card, so I decided to go with the Joy that's from the Beautiful Flower stamp set. I did the same thing with the Joy stamp that I did with the heat embossing. I went ahead and prepped the area with some powder tool, put my Joy right where I wanted it to be, used the Versamark in clear, stamped it down, used the same copper embossing powder, and then heated that up. Just be careful whenever you are heating on this kind of paper with the gold foil in the background, because it can warp your paper if your heat tool is on too long. Alrighty, so that finishes our card. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to the next card that we make. Here are the 2 cards that I made with the beautiful stamp set. I hope you enjoyed, and you guys have a very blessed and lovely day. Thank you. Bye.